Welcome back, dear viewers, and you are still watching the breakfast show. And in this segment of our program, we will talk about the phenomenon that the sun illuminates the face of King Ramses II at Abu Simbel Temple twice a year in October and February. We'll try to know more about this phenomenon and the miracle behind it with our dear guest, Dr. Yehia Abdel, former Minister of Tourism, Councillor. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Great, sir. So can you tell us more about this phenomenon and to what extent it helps in attracting more tourists at this time of the year?
Well, actually, Ramses II is like one of the most splendid and magnificent ruler who ruled throughout Pharaonic history, and he was considered by romancists, by writers, by historians and poets as Umizandeus, which is like the magnificent king, like the Wikator. So he ruled for 67 years, and he belongs to the New Kingdom era and to the 19th dynasty. And of course, we know about his great Abu Simbel temple that the sun shines, twice a year on October, which is his coronation day, and on February, which is his birthday. And that shines on him because this is so symbolic, because the sun was characterized like the sun Ra, which is Ra was the sun god. That will give him blessing and will give him power and will give him all the facilities that he needs to rule as a great, mighty ruler of Egypt that ruled for over 67 years.
Sir, also a team of architects and archaeologists at the Grand Egyptian Museum succeeded in simulating this phenomenon by establishing a statue of King Ramses II in the Great Hall of the museum in a corner through which the sun lights up the king's face on February 21st of each year. How do you see this?
Well, really, this is great, leap, like an achievement by, contemporary, and current archaeologists, Egyptologists, and architects who really knew, at the symbol, the sun shines twice. We call it the sun alignment, on the face of Ramses II. And then because of this great statue that we have erected, at the, entrance and foyer, of the Grand Egyptian Museum. So they tried to give him the same blessing, that he kept for over 31 centuries. Throughout his dynasty. So that was a great achievement to do it in 1 year because pharaohs and ancient Egyptians used to spend long times to record and achieve, climate and star constellation, movement. It took them over 1,000 years to locate the places where you're going to do the Giza necropolis, Cheops, Khafre, and Mycerinus, because it's aligned with the Orion constellation. So they used to work hard to do this, but due to our intelligent information of our current architects and Egyptologists, we were successful to do it in 1 year. And last year, the sun shined directly on him, and this year as well. So really, this is a great phenomena to commemorate the activities that the pharaoh himself liked. And this is a great attraction as well for international tourism and local tourism as well.
Yes, sir, as we are talking about the Egyptian Museum, how do you see preparations for its inauguration in the coming period?
Well, really, when I talk to my friends, the tour guides and Egyptologists, nationwide, and even, international associations that working in the development of the site and the museum, they mentioned that really 99%, of the work, infrastructure, and, the display of the artifacts, for example, of King Tut, which is going to be 5,600 artifacts under one roof. So they say everything is complete. That's why we are going through the soft run, of any project. That's why, for example, last week we have Art Cairo, which was a great culture and art event, that thousands, of visitors to Egypt and Egyptian students and scholars went to enjoy the display of local art, international art as well. So through this, events and festivals and celebrations like the operas we do over there, so this is going to smooth the operation, and then we're going to have a grand opening that needs, like really sophisticated planning, because this is once in a lifetime, like the Grand Egyptian Museum is an icon that's going to be, remembered and witnessed over hundreds of years.
Sir, also back to Abu Simbel temple, it is considered one of the largest temples carved in rocks in the world. It was carved in a rock piece on the west bank of the Nile in a place of great beauty to worship the sun. Can you tell us more about Abu Simbel temple and its importance?
Well, there are two temples, like the Abu Simbel temple, the first one, and then the Queen Nefertari temple that was his beloved wife. He did it, carved it in her memory, like of his support to her and love and affection. And I remember Dr. Mamdouh Beltagi, former Minister of Tourism, he used to describe this temple as one of the greatest achievements of Egyptian civilization. So Ramesses really is one of the greatest builders, like in history. He even built another one in southern in west bank of the Nile in Valley of the Kings, which is called Ramesseum, and it has one of his statues, which is as estimated, it's like over 500 tons carved from Aswan. So he's a great builder, and Abu Simbel was, to commemorate, this is the southern border of Egypt, and it has a direct, contact with the sun rays and Ra, which is the sun god. So it was very symbolic and very powerful as well, and we remember he conducted the first peace treaty with the Hittites. So he was an able and powerful ruler, capable and a diplomat as well.
So, sir, also if we talk about tourism this season in Luxor and Aswan, to what extent this phenomenon affect the flow of tourists at this time of the year?
Well, really, it's very effective because, visitors, when they come to Egypt, they have a calendar, things to do. So, for example, they like to come, during the Easter season. Some of them, they like to come and watch the sun alignment, like in Fayoum. We have, the apparent of the pharaohs, and then we have another, sun alignment on the Karnak temple. And, the Holy of Holies, the four gods, next to Ramesses II at Abu Simbel. So it's very symbolic, and European visitors, they have calendars and they study Egyptology as well, and they like to come and, attend this joyful moment because it's a historical event once in a lifetime when they come and take pictures with their family and friends. So it's a great attraction for Egypt and historic sites like Luxor and Aswan as well.
Yes, sir. Also, to what extent these phenomena tell us about Egyptian, ancient Egyptians, and to what extent they had reached advanced in many sectors, even in astrology?
Well, really, Imhotep was like the first learner, of the Egyptian civilization. He mentioned knowledge is having a strong and profound belief. And, negligence and, ignorance, that means you don't believe in any value, whatever. So they were very dedicated to education, to technology, to medicine, to agriculture. And the sun god for them was something very symbolic because during the day it's created and then it disappears in the sun. So this is something that taught them resurrection. And the same thing for the river Nile, it floods in summer and then it irrigates the land and then the harvest and then it dies down. So, and then it resurrects again with, the annual flood coming from, the south of Egypt. So the Nile and the sun was so symbolic and powerful significance for them that created, and characterized the Egyptian civilization, which is a very sophisticated up to now in every aspect.
Sir, also on Monday, the first phase of a project to develop the Egyptian Museum in Cairo's Tahrir Square with cooperation with many other entities. So it was upgraded via cooperation between the Ministry of Tourism and the European Union. So how do you see this?
Well, really, this is, a very significant event for us because Egyptian civilization is regarded as a global civilization as well. That's why we have the support of the UNESCO, we have the support of the European Union, we have the support of the JICA,
yes,
the Japanese arm, which is sponsored, to a great extent, the development of the Grand Egyptian Museum. And we had museums from Turin, from Italy, from Holland,
Yes.
and Louvre from France, from England. There was at least 7 museums worldwide with experts that were working for over 2 years now to upgrade the status of the Cairo Museum. And when we have like a new director now, Mr. Ali Halim, the new director, so the Minister of Tourism, Mr. Ahmed Isa, and Antiquities, really we are in like upgrading the status because this is one of the ancient and the most prestigious museums worldwide.
Yes, so Sarah, if we talk about the Cairo Museum, do you think that its development is a message that it is still able to compete with other new museums being renovated here in Egypt as a National Museum of Civilization and a gem? So do you think that its upgrade is very important at this stage?
It is, and really I visited, like with the students from the College of Mass Comm Cairo University regularly.
Yes.
And every time, like it shows, like the development and the advancement, like in the process for the visitors and the regulations and the exhibitions and the display and the artifacts.
Yes.
And remember, just like last week, Prime Minister, like Mr. Madbouli, like he walked, like around the Islamic Cairo and the Darb al-Ahmar, where there are 12, all, like locations and antiquities that's going to be in display. And this is done in association with the Aga Khan Foundation, So Egypt,
Yes.
Like is having a support from the European Union and from Asian, foundations as well, like the Aga Khan one. So inshallah, we'll be having a strong season this year.
Yes, sir, also yesterday the Uzbek president was visiting Egypt and the two countries witnessed the signing of different memorandums of understanding. Among them is MOU in the field of tourism sector. How can Egypt cooperate with Uzbekistan in the field of tourism, and to what extent it is important to open new markets in the coming period?
It is, like we remember the former Soviet Union now we're made of like 13 republics. And Uzbekistan, one of the most powerful and richest one among these republics. That's why we're delighted to receive His Excellency, the President of Uzbekistan. And remember, we have old history, like when we have Uzbekia Garden, and that was of the Mamluk leaders, like by the time. We have an exchange, like in education. We have students who study at an Egyptian university, at Al-Azhar. So we have strong economic ties as well, like in technology, in energy, in tourism, in commerce. So this is a new era, and we have seen President Fattah Sisi traveling to like 7, 8 countries, like within the past 3 weeks. He, like he is getting investments for Egypt and exchanging like benefits and commerce with international and powerful countries worldwide.
Yes, sir. One final question. Also, the Ministry of Tourism participated recently in the Milan International Tourism Fair. So, tell me more about the importance of participating in such exhibitions and the Italian tourists, and to what extent they are interested in Egypt.
Well, really, like Egypt and Italy, they have a strong ties, like thousands of years ago. I would remember Antony and Cleopatra, like the exchange, like at the Alexandria, like library and university. And we used to receive, like Italian tourists by the millions, like to Hagara and Sharm el-Sheikh. And they helped us, like you remember the Cairo Opera was founded by the Italians, and the first opera, Aida and Rigolotto, was developed by Giuseppe Verdi. So Egypt and Italy have strong ties. That's why we participate annually in many travel fairs and exhibitions. And I met Signor Scalmani, is the director of the Italian Culture Center, and he have delegations now coming from Italy to do, like education, like cooperation agreement between Italy and Egypt. And they perform, like musical groups and concerts at Egyptian universities in the opera. So our ties with Italy is growing stronger, and we'll be receiving more visitors this year, inshallah.
Yes, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Yehia Abdel, our dear guest, former Minister of Tourism Counselor. Thank you, sir, for being with us. And dear viewers, a short break. We'll be back with our second segment for today, so stay tuned.